To continue where we were, last time we were discussing faucets. And we said these days, a lot of these faucets are just one unit. And if you tilt it just so, you have opened the hot water, and the hot water is coming, it's going to cause a bunch of trouble, bunch of issues. Number one issue is that by doing so, you are now using the hot water which is in the boiler, and in its stead, there is going to come cold water into the boiler, and that cold water will get cooked as a result. Now, if you don't, let's say you're smart enough and you've closed the cold water and you don't let it come in, good, but still, what's going to happen is that the hot water in the boiler will now get mixed with the cold water that you because let's say you're opening the faucet, it's smack in the middle, right? So there's some cold water that's going to get mixed with that. Again, it's going to get cooked. This is all good and nice if the system is not made in such a way that let's say it's electric, right? And the electric system doesn't get, as soon as you open as soon as you turn the hot water faucet on, the electric system will turn on right away and start heating the water. Or if it's gas, it'll ignite it. Then we even have a bigger problem of fire, havara as well. So, all these cute scenarios that happen if a person by mistake he opened the cold water. So we have to be extra careful to just keep the lever only to the cold. Sometimes we have guests, they don't know. You gotta be very careful, with this thing, what to do. As we said last time, the best thing to do to avoid it is to go underneath the sink and just close the hot water thing. This way, even if they do turn that, nothing happens. If you're gonna have guests that have no clue, and it happens. I remember we used to have events at home. We used to have like Seudah Shirishit. A lot of guys would come, and they don't know which way is which. Not everyone knows this is cold, this is hot. They would just turn it on. So before Shabbat, we would turn off the hot water. That would have saved us all the trouble. Now, what happens if a person does actually open the cold, the hot water towards that lever? The lever turns it towards that side. What happens then? What should a person do? So we said if by mistake a person did that, right? Even if let's say the system is off, right? And it's not going to work right away. The best thing to do, the more correct thing to do, is to leave the water on. Don't close it all the way, right? Let it run. Let the water keep running. Why? Because as soon as you close the water right away, let's say a person says, oh, no, I turned the hot water on, and he closes it. What happens then? Now that cold water that just came in, right, is going to definitely get cooked. Whereas if you let it keep coming in, so more cold water is going to be going in there, so it's just going to come out. It's a continuous act from before. You've done it already, right? You've opened it up, so just let it go flowing until the water is not hot anymore. It's like warmish. Then we could close it. This is all if the system didn't turn on. But if the system did turn on, then by closing it, you're also shutting the system down. That's another problem. See what happened?
So what do you have to do?
Leave it on. Leave it on throughout
A little
Shabbat.
bit on or a lot on?
Just leave it in the middle. Yeah, it doesn't have to be the flowing, but to just leave it on.
And you
There's a
could
big
use
machloket
it?
on this. Some say, once it's on, you could use it. Some say it's fine, but most poskim are saying that person should be machmir and to just leave it on. Some say no, don't waste the water, and so on and so forth. But others are saying, just think about it. It'll if you close it, you are now if you just leave it on, it's like you're doing something b'shev al ta'aseh. You're just passively letting it happen. But if you go ahead and close it, you're actively doing something that'll cause it to be a melacha.
I thought last time we said you could shut it off right when you turned it off.
Right. Some poskim, they bring that. They say if right away you close it, you're good, which makes sense. Because then nothing actually came in. No cold water came in. If right away a person realized and right away he turned it off, then zero water came in, then you're good. But if you haven't, which sometimes, like, by the time a person realizes, it takes a few seconds even, then that amount of water that came in is gonna definitely get cooked.
What about in an apartment? Does it make any difference?
I'm not sure. I had that question. In an apartment, what happens is there's a huge boiler, right? And there are others that are using the water. And the question becomes that now by you opening the hot water, did you cause the cold water to go into the boiler, or it was flowing anyway? Because I don't know, there's like 20 units there, and half of them are goyim, and they're all using it. I'm not sure. It becomes a safek. To be safe, I would say to just leave it on. What's 1,000 cubic gallons of water? No big deal, especially in the drought in California. Right. But that's the consensus of most poskim. Hello. That's the consensus of most poskim. This is what they say, that a person should leave the faucet on in this case. Right? Is that clear? Is that good? So the lesson to learn from this is don't turn the hot water, the faucet to the hot, because that's just it just causes trouble. Now, some apartments though, they have, each unit has their own boiler. You know that. So then this question stays. There's no question about that. Some no, some like especially if they have like 4 units, 3 units, then they have one big one for all the units. Then that question comes up: should we, shouldn't we worry? But if they're all from, then we're back to square one. Let's say in the Kollel building, everybody's like nobody's using the hot water, so then we have that. Now, this is all good and nice if the system is not working. If you have the electric system for the hot water heater working, right, then forget it. Then for sure we can't close it. Because by me closing the water, then I'm shutting the system down. If I close the hot water now, what's going to happen? It's going to shut down the heating elements that are now on, and that would be me turning off fire on Shabbat, right? And for sure, if it's gas, so gas goes with the thermostat, right? As soon as it detects it, then it's that's a real fire being put out, and that's a bigger problem. Now, there is a good thing on our side that we have Mustafa, right? We could call the goy to come and turn off the fire, turn off the water.
How are you going to tell him?
Right? We'll tell him, listen, it's Sabbath, and by mistake, I turned the hot water on, and I shouldn't have, and I can't turn it back. I can't turn it back off.
You're directly.
Right? You're not saying anything at all, right? You're not. That's what you have to do. You have to be very careful not to command, right? You just tell him a story, and I can't turn it back off.
And then they ask you want me to do it?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I hate that. And it's like an impulse. Like you just say, yeah. Like it just comes out.
You said, really? Did I say that? I didn't say that.
So then they won't.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, so
Baruch Hashem, a few times that we had to do it, like sometimes they weren't so quick, but some of them said, oh yeah, I'm a Shabbos goy. They know already, or I've been living with, Baruch Hashem, they know. A lot of them know. But especially around here. No, but it cannot be a command, right? It can't be saying that I would like you to, if you can, please turn off the thing. That's not going to work. It has to be, you tell him a story.
If you want, If he asks, you want me to turn it off? And you say, if you want.
You could say, look, I cannot turn it off, right? But a person who is a Gentile could, things like that.
Can your child do it?
Rather not. There's poskim do bring down by other things. I don't know. I'm not very comfortable.
Even like 3 years old, right?
Right. Even a year old. I'm not crazy about it. Because I don't know. It might have some effect on it. Who knows what's gonna happen down the road.
How about if you go in and you see that the lever is on the hot, but you put it on the cold, but even when you turn it on, it's gonna be a little hot.
It's from the previous.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean someone already has the water on?
No, it's not on. It's off, but you see it's like on the hot side.
Okay, so you just
Move
twist it.
Yeah.
That's
But
no
then when you
problem.
open it, sometimes it's hot.
Really?
Yeah.
That's because of the pump. The pump is on that side, and
It's there from the
It
previous
would already
years.
be like right there though. You didn't do anything to let it out.
so in that case you have to turn it on really high, right? So then it's gonna be batel. Nothing is gonna happen. Nothing is gonna get cooked.
Okay.
That's what you have to do. If you do that, that'll work. Okay, so Baruch Hashem, we're out of the faucet. Let's move to the next thing of Bishul. The next thing is, wow, a lot of people wrote about this, about microwave, right? Obviously, it's asur to cook in a microwave. There's a whole question. So obviously, besides the fact that it's electricity, and we are incorporating electricity on Shabbat, that's asur. The act of cooking, there's 2 separate prohibitions. One is called havara, igniting fire. That would be with the electricity. The other one would be the isur, the prohibition of cooking. And that's with a microwave, although it's not a conventional manner of cooking with fire, but the way, as you all know, the way it works is the microwaves, they move at a very fast speed within the microwave cavity, and whatever has any moisture picks up on the waves and it heats up. So it's still working with heat, right? And that's where the trouble comes in. The question becomes, let's say before Shabbat, you cooked something in the microwave. Is that considered that it was cooked? So that now on Shabbat you want to reheat it, is that considered bishul achar bishul, which would be allowed or not?
Why not?
Get the question?
No,
Why
I don't
not?
get it.
See, on Shabbat, let's say on Friday you cooked your food, potatoes, right? You cooked it perfectly through and through, mevushal kol tzorcho. On Shabbat, you want to heat the potato. Are you allowed to do that?
In the
Yes.
microwave?
No.
Oh.
On the blech.
Yeah.
Why
And the-
not?
Why
You would have
not?
eaten it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So now that means why could you do it? Because we say en bishul achar bishul. Once it was cooked, so now you want to cook it again. That's fine, because it's not considered cooking. It's just reheating a cooked food. Nice. If this thing is if cooking in a microwave is considered cooking, then this is already cooked. Let's say you cooked it in a microwave on Friday. You baked it, I should say, in the microwave on Friday. Now on Shabbat, he wants to reheat it on a plata. He would be allowed to, because it would say en bishul achar bishul. The original form was bishul, was baking, and now that I'm reheating it, it's perfectly fine. But if you say cooking with a microwave is not halachically considered cooking,
Oh, I see.
then on Shabbat you want to heat it up. You can't, because now you're cooking it.
It's not cooking, right? Microwave's not cooking.
Well,
The goy can
in
do it.
in this, very good. That's one of the things that we're saying. That's one of the sides to this story. There's a lot of different things. Also, by basar b'chalav, like meat and milk together, right? So we say for microwave, we say lechumra. We go on the stringent and we say that it is considered cooking. It is considered cooking. Therefore, it was cooked. And now on Shabbat, if you want to reheat this potato, which was cooked in a microwave, we could do it. Right? There's a controversy on this, but we say that it is considered cooking for this intent and purpose, and therefore it's fine. Okay, now that we started the whole thing about bishul achar bishul, let's jump into that. You have a food which is completely dry, let's say rice, and it is completely cooked, okay? According to all opinions, a person is allowed to heat this food on Shabbat because of the rule that we have in bishul achar bishul. Where does this come from? There's a Mishnah in Masechet Shabbat. It says kol sheba b'chamin milifnei Shabbat. Anything that came into the hot water before Shabbat, meaning it was cooked already before Shabbat, shorin oto b'chamin b'Shabbat. One is allowed to soak it in hot water on Shabbat. Okay, so therefore we learn from here that this act of re-soaking it, let's say that probably, let's say it's talking about a piece of chicken. A chicken that was boiled before Shabbat, through and through. Now you put it aside. You want to eat the chicken on Shabbat and, oh, it's cold. You don't want to eat cold chicken. What do? You have a pot of very hot water, right? You want to put, not on fire, obviously. You want to put this chicken inside that hot water. Can you do that?
Where'd you get hot water
From the urn. You put
yes.
it from the urn into a pot and you want to put the chicken. Yes, you could do it. And that's exactly what the Mishnah is talking about, that you could do this. Right? It's not considered that as if you're cooking it, although normally hot water is a tolda of esh and it would be cooking it. Right? If it would be something that was not cooked, you can't put that inside this hot water. But here in this case, we're saying that it's fine. Okay? Now, the question becomes, let's say the item is not cooked through and through, right? If the rice, let's say, is not cooked through, or the piece of chicken is not cooked through and through, it's only cooked kema'achal ben derosai. Last week we explained. Who was this ben derosai? Rashi in Masechet Shabbat says, this was a listing, this was a bandit. Ben Derosei, and he said, I don't know what zechut this guy has. He's mentioned in every Halachot Shabbat class. He's mentioned in the Gemara. I don't know. Whatever it was, it was. So this guy, he would eat all the food that he had, very quickly before it was cooked. He would just eat it up. These are things that a person, normal, average person, has a hard time eating them because they're not so cooked. Rashi says, it's only a third of the way cooked, right? Rambam says it's halfway cooked. Okay, so there's either way, whatever the case is, there's a machloket in that. We usually go lechumra and we say a third of the way cooked. Depends on what the case is. So we'll stick to that. Although it's very hard, to discern. Okay, let me see. Is this food a third of the way cooked? Or it's maybe it's like a fourth of the way cooked, or maybe it's a fifth of the way. It's very hard to know. How can we know? Halakha is that anything that's that is the person has a hard time to eat, but he'll eat it. That's what we're talking about. That's called that is mivashel mevushal kemachal ben derosai. Is that clear? Obviously, we can't. We don't have tools to measure something is cooked a third of the way, or half the way, or a fourth of the way. It's anything that you would be able to eat if you're forced to, right? Some things, even if you force a person, won't eat it, but the average person. Some people love raw meat, so they will eat it. Some people love sushi, it's not cooked fish and they still love it. But average person, forget sushi, average person would eat this food if it's only this much cooked, yes or no, that would be ma'achal ben derosai. Now, there is a machloket within the Rishonim, right? If something was cooked to this level, now you take it and you want to cook it, right, even more, until it's fully cooked. We said before that is there an isur, is there prohibition of bishul here from the Torah, or others say no, it's not prohibited from the Torah, it's only rabbinically asur. That means something that was ma'achal ben derosai level, and now you cooked it all the way through and through, it's only rabbinic. Because once it reached ma'achal ben derosai level, it is cooked. Now all you're doing is just nothing. It's just nothing. Rabbinically, they say because you're enhancing it, it's asur. Others say it's not even a rabbinic isur. So we have a huge argument here. Maran, Shulchan Aruch, or let me go back. Maran in Shulchan Aruch says, halacha, that something that was cooked, machab and derosei, it still is sur from the Torah for a person to cook it until it's cooked through and through. Okay? So that continuing, enhancing it, making it fully cooked, that's asur. Right? According to many poskim, Mishnah Berurah, Mama Mordechai, Aruch HaShulchan, they say that even if you add a little bit, right, a little bit above Machal Ben Derosei, you're not even finishing it, that's also asur. That's they're very stringent on this. That means this food is barely edible. The person says, "Oh, you know what? Let me just put it back on the plata for it to get a little bit better." And then, 10 minutes later, a friend comes and goes, "What are you doing? You can't do that." Da, 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 da. And they take it off. That's asur. According to them, this was totally asur. Even though it's not yet fully cooked, it's still asur. Now, let's say, let me just give some spice to this. The food was definitely cooked machal ben derosei. It was even more. It just needed another 10 minutes. It would be perfect. Everyone could eat it. It would be nice, soft, and juicy, and everything. Perfect. And that's what a person did. That's asur. Because now you perfected the food, made it the mevushal kol tzorcho. Those few minutes, that's asur. One who comes and finishes it. So we have to be extra careful to make sure. This is why the best advice is that a person should have his food fully cooked before Shabbat, whenever possible. That would be the best thing.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I get a lot of takeout sometimes from Western Kosher.
Right.
They have these meatballs. So it's always not half cooked, and that's how they sell it, because they said we know that on Shabbat you're gonna heat it up. So one time I got it, and then even though I heated it up, it was still heated.
Raw.
So I took it back to them. I was disgusted. So I told them that, oh, we always do that. Probably this time they did a little too much. So that you're saying that's not allowed.
Right. That's not allowed.
Oh, wow.
So in that case, let's say you have takeout, so then you gotta make sure, at least give it an hour, 2 hours before Shabbat, make sure it's cooked through and through. This way you're fine. You want to heat it on Shabbat, that's perfectly fine. Otherwise, if it's not, then we're in trouble.
So they're making a mistake by doing that.
Yes.
So
I
you
think
said
they're
that
just...
do that so that people, we know that they heat it up on Shabbat, so we purposely undercook it.
They probably want that the people, they probably are assuming that the people would do it before Shabbat. That's what I'm assuming, because most of the people, they would do it before Shabbat. That would make sense. But that they would, that they would heat it. Ashkenazim won't do it even on Shabbat. So I think they're relying on the people to go ahead before Shabbat, to do it. Which maybe some people don't like it to be overcooked. Maybe they have their own reasons. But that's definitely the halakha. That a person has got to be careful that on Shabbat you don't want to now make it, put it and cook it to finish it off right now. Yeah.
How do you give your kids food on Shabbat when it's on the fire and want to take the lid off or whatnot?
Right.
How
We're
do
going to
you
get
do
to that.
Oh,
So,
later? Okay.
Right. So first of all, we said you can't take the lid off unless you know 100% that your food is fully cooked.
Right.
And if you do take the lid off and you see that the food is not 100% cooked, then you cannot put the lid back on at all, under no circumstances, right? That you can only do when you know for sure that the food is fully cooked. Right? That's when we could put the lid back on, because otherwise you are now enhancing the food. When you put the lid back on, now it's going to, even though if you just left it, it will get cooked in another hour. But now because of this act, it's going to get cooked within a half hour because the heat is contained. Now, let's say the food is fully cooked, then you could just skim off and give it to the children, even if it's on the fire.
Then what do you do with the? You have to hold the lid in your
Min
hand.
HaTorah. Wait, Min HaTorah. But midivre sofrim, if you have a pot on the blech, then to take food out, that looks like you're cooking, right? It looks like an act of cooking, although it's not. Normally, megis, stirring, is an act of cooking. But here, you don't need cooking because it's fully cooked. The only thing is you have a rabbinic prohibition of stirring the food while it's on the blech. So for that, you gotta remove it and take, and then put it back on.
And you have to dry the lid?
Yes, before you put the lid back on, you gotta make sure to dry it because that water or whatever it is, steam cools off in the lid and you put it back on, you have trouble. Yes.
So for what you were just saying that like the meatballs have to be fully cooked before, that's for when you put them on an electric plate or something on Shabbat. But if it's already like in a crock pot raw, but before Shabbat set to cook, it's okay.
You're good to go.
Okay.
Right.
Can you tell us more about crock pot?
We'll get to it. That's
So
hatmana.
even
That's a
if
whole
it's
thing. in itself.
fully cooked, you can't scoop it out. when
While it's
isn't
on it,
cooked?
we're in trouble because it's michzikim vashin. It looks like you're cooking, right?
That's also on a hot plate, or that's just if it's on like fire on a block?
On a fire, open fire.
So if the pot is on the electric
If the
hot
fire
plate,
is on
you can
the-
open it on it and scoop it out?
Right, then you
So
have a
hot plate
hacker.
is
Then you have a
Wait,
hacker.
what?
Then
Why would we have an open flame?
No, but you
The
have
black
a
on
someone's
top
still
of
do
the
it.
stove.
What?
no. Someone left it on an open fire. You could, Halachically?
Oh, you're saying,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
but
Well,
just don't put
Okay,
it
but
back
we don't
on.
do that.
Most people
Okay,
don't do
so
that.
going back, let's
Right.
rewind.
Wait,
Oh,
but you
let's
can
say-
have a metal thing on
Yeah.
fire.
That's a blech, right? Let's say you have the
Right.
metal thing over the fire that's covering it.
Yeah.
That's already a hacker. People could see. Oh, look, this is covered.
So then you
Oh, so
could
then you
open
can
it and
take
scoop
it
it
out.
out.
On the
Okay.
slow cooker, same thing.
You gotta make sure. Slow cooker, crock
With
pot,
the
you
crock
mean?
pot.
Yeah, the chalk.
And you know for sure the food
It's
is.
morning and it's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
there
yeah.
since last night.
It should be fine.
My
Just
brother
the
was
lid.
saying you have
Remember.
to do something,
But even
like
if-
take it out and then do it with your
Hello.
from the crock pot and then you put it back in. But you can't let the crock pot be on the. You have to hold it while you're doing it.
That's Ashkenaz.
Maybe
Oh,
by the
yeah?
crock pot.
Yeah.
Let me crock pot. Let me check into it.
Oh.
Let me just check into it to make sure.
And the aluminum
Yes.
foil in the crock pot thing, we have to make sure it covers the whole thing, or just the.
Well,
We said we don't really have.
according to everybody, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to do that. Oh, okay.
There are some
Why
poskim that
is
say in the
that
crock pot, the sides, they become like the heating element themselves. So because of that, you need to cover that with aluminum to make sure that this becomes like a blech, the whole aluminum that covers the whole area. I mean, it says it's not the heating elements are covered; they're not touching the side, and so on and so forth, and therefore you could be machmir if you want to, but I think some say it even makes it worse because now for sure it's touching the pot. The sides now because of the aluminum is like totally going to be touching.
Oh, so it's
the
better not
side.
to put it.
I'm just saying some say no, some say yes. So I don't know. We don't do it.
But
We
the
don't do
dial. for
The
sure,
dial
has to be
we
covered.
cover.
I
Correct.
just take it out.
Oh, it's
I can take it
Oh yeah, you take it out? Okay,
Yeah.
you're good.
Like even if it's electric, like the buttons.
Just cover it. We have this velvet thing that it says Shabbat Kodesh on it, and just
Yeah.
put it there.
So when the crock pot goes on warm, keep
Yeah.
warm. Is the lid still an issue of replacing it with the water condensation?
It stays Yad Soledet bo. It stays temperature Yad Soledet bo. Yes, that would still be an issue. Keep warm only means that it keeps it in that temperature that it was in, which is definitely between Yad Soledet bo and boiling, right? So yeah, for sure, that would give the the heat will rise and cook whatever cooled off steam there was on the lid.
If you take it off for like less than a minute,
Yeah.
it's still it
Uh,
would cool
the-
down enough that
If you do a practice run, you'll see that just 10 seconds will cool it off.
really.
Really, yeah, because it's a thin layer. As soon as you remove it, it cools off. It's surprisingly quick. Now, For
What about
sure.
if it's in the oven and there's aluminum foil on top, and you want to take some of the food?
What's in the oven?
The food.
And the oven is off.
It's on.
The oven is on?
Yeah.
How could you open the oven door? on
Shabbat mode.
Oh, you have Shabbat mode?
Yeah.
Okay, you have Shabbat mode, and you're opening the oven door.
What oven has Shabbat mode? That's cool.
Yeah,
I
this
don't
is
know what it is.
Star K. Star K has unplugging Star K. What was it? So the oven is on Shabbat mode, and so even on Shabbat mode, you cannot put food in the oven unless you have the blech.
Right.
So this is only for taking out. So you open the door, you want to take the food out.
I don't want to take the whole food.
Oh,
I
you
just
just
want to
wanna
like a
take-
spoon out of that.
That should be fine.
What does Shabbat mode do?
Shabbat mode turns off the thermostat and turns off all the LED lights and everything that would turn on and off. I don't know what else it does.
But it stays at a temperature regardless
Yeah.
of.
That's
Hopefully
yeah,
it
for
cooks.
sure. That's what they do.
Right.
You go on Starcade, they have a whole
Right.
they have the whole system there.
Yeah.
So on Yom Tov, can you put an oven on like not Shabbat mode?
On Yom Tov, we have another problem because there is an issue of us causing it to turn off as well. Turning off on Yom Tov is not
yeah.
allowed. Turning on, like if you have an existing fire, we could, but
Oh, so you can't
that's
do
another
that
issue, right?
Why would I turn on?
because it got too hot. Is that one? Because it got too hot.
When you close the door, that'll cause it to turn off, right? Because now
Why?
there's no cold air going in, and now it doesn't need to be on. Sometimes it like turns on because you have left the door open. Let's say you leave the door open for
But
like
it's set
5
to like
minutes.
a certain temperature.
No,
She's
it's
saying
not in
not
Shabbat.
Shabbat
No.
mode.
It's not in Shabbat.
On Yom Tov, that is what
Oh.
So
I'm
then
okay.
the cold air goes in, so then suddenly the surge of the thing, it turns on, and then you close it, it'll turn it off.
Does it?
But
You
I-
know
Yeah.
it's gonna turn off?
Yeah, of course. Because it has a thermostat. Thermostat, like, it feels the temperature and boom.
But if you had it for a while, and then you
Depends
close it,
how
it
long.
could still like take a while to get back up to
True.
temperature.
Depends. I have to check it out, but I think as far as I remember seeing that's one of the issues. And there's other issues also, but we'll check it out because that's when we're near Yom Tov.
Sorry, I just.
No, it's okay. So for sure, going back to this, if something was not cooked at all, right? And on Shabbat he takes this thing and puts it on the blech or whatever it is, and it reaches Ma'achal ben derosei, then for sure it's asur, right? Now, let's say most of the food is cooked, right? Most of the food that you have here is mevushal kol tzorcho, is fully cooked. There's a little bit, some of the beans in that
Right,
corner over
yeah.
there, them buggers, they're not yet cooked, right? Then we have a problem, right? Then the person takes that and puts it on the blech for it to heat up and whatnot, and that's going to cause that to get fully cooked. Then that's asur. And we don't say, oh, the majority is fully cooked. Look at it, it's soft. It's like melted. Doesn't matter, right?
So all ingredients.
Right. So in this, let's say in this case, a person lifts the top, the cover, and says, wow, it's nice, cooked, perfect. And he says, oh no, there's that corner that I missed. Then you can't put the cover back on, right? Or, as we said before, you can't stir. Even if you remove it from the fire, you can't stir it. Because that act of stirring is going to bring that to the lower, which is now Kedir Rishon, even though you removed it from the fire, and that's going to cause it to get cooked, and that is absolutely asur.
So if it's fully cooked and you bring it to the table, you could stir. It's clear Rishon still.
Yes, as long as it's Yad Soledet Bo, it's still considered Kedir Rishon, and it has the strength of cooking. It will cook.
But since it's fully cooked, you're allowed to stir.
If it's fully cooked, you're allowed to stir it. If it's not fully cooked, then you cannot stir it.
Okay.
Very good. Right. Okay. Baruch Hashem, we got this.
Oh, it goes by so fast.